Hey, this is Rich, the second half of Thieves Guild Games, and I just got back from my first ever real con experience and thought I would talk about it for a minute. I say real con experience because I did go to TapellaCon a couple of years ago. That felt more like a bunch of TTRPGers or maybe a few TTRPGers crashing a comic or cosplay convention because there was very little gaming going on. There were a lot of vendor booths. There was a lot of cosplay competitions, that sort of stuff, but no actual games to speak of. I did participate in one game, and that was about it. So this year, Scott and I decided we'd go to MythicCon in Charlotte, North Carolina, and had a great time. So figured I'd just talk about it briefly. Registration was really simple. I'm glad that I registered early. I'm glad that I was able to get into the hotel where the convention was actually happening. It made things a lot easier, and it was great. I did end up booking the hotel for a day more than I really needed. I should have probably just done a day, checked out a date earlier than what I'd planned. However, getting in the day before the con actually starts was great because it allowed us to get in, get settled, and not rush around worrying about getting checked into the hotel as well as getting checked in at the convention and getting our badges and stuff. So do that. Register as early as you can so you can get in at the hotel and get there a day early. Parking is a little bit easier to manage at that point. One thing that I would do differently is if you have the opportunity to select your room, get as close to the lobby as possible because the conventions are typically going to be on the lower levels, of course. And if you need to run up to your room quickly, elevators can be a problem. So running up and downstairs may be easier if you're closer to the ground level. The game registration itself was really simple. The problem was I wanted to run some games as well. And so not knowing when other games are going to be happening or not knowing when other events or what other events may be happening as I was trying to register my games became a little problematic because in the end, I did not get to participate in some of the events that I wanted to. Yes, I could have canceled games. Yes, I could have potentially rescheduled them. But there comes a point where all that stuff has to be kind of locked down. And so that's the one downside of actually running games is you don't know what you're going to be missing out on. So that was kind of a downer for me. The other problem with this specific con was when you register your games, you really need to know what game, what system you're running, what setting you're running, a description of the adventure that you're going to be running, because modifying that information post facto is really difficult. I always had to email the people running the con and ask them to update the information. Even though it was all web-based, I could not get in and modify my own games. I could not modify the descriptions of the games, any of that sort of stuff. I understand why it may be difficult to edit or modify the time of my game, and that would potentially require somebody running the con because they're coordinating tables and setups and all that sort of stuff. But it would be great if they would allow me to modify the game system or modify the title of the game or modify the description of the game myself, because there may be things or details that I haven't quite worked out yet when I'm registering my games. So that was kind of a bummer for me. However, the rest of the experience is great. Getting to the con, get there however you want. For me, Charlotte is only about a 5-hour drive. So if you're riding with somebody, it's not a bad drive. If you're driving by yourself, 5 hours might be kind of difficult at times for people if you have a tendency to fall asleep or don't listen to audiobooks or whatever. But it was great. Getting there was no problem. And Scott and I had a great time driving up to the con together. The con experience itself, there are a few things to be aware of, especially if you're going to GM. And I would recommend you try to GM a game. It's a lot of fun. It gives you some experience, and it gives you a chance to meet and interact with some really cool people. Yes, playing does the same. However, I think that GMing there are some really good things that I've learned from GMing with people that I typically don't play with. My advice, if you're going to GM a game, run it rules as written as much as possible. Why? Because you may have people that are new to the system, and you're really doing them a disservice if you're not allowing them to experience the game as it was written, as it was meant to be run. I know that we all have our own preferences and we tend to homebrew, but when you're running a game at a con, be aware that there might be new players there, and this may be their first experience with that system, and running it rules as written will benefit them. It also helps you because it gives everybody that may have played the game before, you're all working from a common set of rules rather than having to explain, oh, well, I do it this way in my games. So just run it rules as written. The other thing is, like I said, there may be people that are trying the system out for the first time. They may be new to role-playing games in general. They may be new to this system, but experienced role players. Whatever the situation, don't be a dick to new players. Don't be a dick to new people in the system. One of the comments that I got from a table was they had friends that didn't want to play in certain games because they didn't know the system. And in the past, they'd experienced GMs that got frustrated or were upset with them trying to get system and not knowing it. And that to me is just stupid. Let people experience the games that you love, and don't be frustrated if they don't know the rules. Be patient, help them out. You'll help them have a good time. They'll have a great time. And it's a lot of fun. My first game that I ran was for Crown and Skull, and it was full. There were 6 players, and none of them had played the game before, and we all had a great time. It was just a lot of fun. So be welcoming to new players and encourage them so that they don't feel that way in the future, that they should not jump into a game if they can't because they don't know the rules. Some of the other things that I've learned is it helps to actively build group rapport. I was in one game where we just kind of jumped in with the GM kind of describing, here's the setting, we're going to be using this rule set, and straight into the intro of the adventure. I don't know anybody sitting at the table. I don't know how they play. And in those sorts of scenarios, I tend to draw in on myself, be reserved, and not comment a lot until I understand what the experience is for everybody else. How do they like to play? What do they find okay? What is objectionable to them? That sort of stuff. I know nothing about them, and so I sit back and just be quiet. One of the players in that particular game, Ari, was phenomenal. He was a great guy. He jumped in and he started just role-playing and worked to get everybody else involved. He did a great job of helping us feel more comfortable looking like fools in front of a bunch of strangers that we don't know. So when I ran my games, what I tried to do at that point, having had that experience, was get to know the players a little bit, understand where they come from, understand what their role-playing experience is. And a lot of times throughout that interaction, the other players get to know that person and they start finding common ground, things that they both like, things that they don't like. And it opens everybody up a little bit easier to be willing to experiment, be willing to play, and just get out there and have a good time role-playing. So build that rapport with the players and encourage them to build rapport with one another so that everybody is comfortable when you start playing. The other thing that you may not think about is the environment is going to be loud. It is very loud and can be very difficult to hear the GM as well as the other players. So be prepared to lose your voice. Bring lozenges or something to help relax and soothe your voice. By the end of day 1, I had played one game, I had GM'd one game, and my voice was shot. Day 2, I played 2 games and GM'd a third game, and again, my voice was shot. So be prepared for that. There's not a lot that you can do about it. The environment is the environment, and they have limited space, and they're going to pack in as many tables as they can for the games that they have. And there's not going to be partitions unless you bring them yourself, like if you have banners or posters that you put up for your games, whatever that is. It's going to be loud, and you're going to lose your voice. Just be prepared for that, and understand that if you don't want that to happen, you may need to not play as many games. Don't GM, but I still encourage you to go ahead and GM. In terms of playing, again, I look back at Ari, and what a great example he was for me at my first con. Don't be afraid to put yourselves out there. When I finally started playing my second and third game at the con, I had a lot more fun when I just threw caution to the wind, put myself out there, was not afraid to make a fool of myself, recognize that everybody's there to have a good time. They're not going to be judging you, and even if they do, they don't know you. You'll likely never see them again, except for maybe at the con. But so what? Have a good time, and if you're having a good time, other people are going to likely have a good time. If you're not afraid to make a fool of yourself, that tells the other people that it's safe for them to make a fool of themselves as well. So just get out there and do it. Encourage them to participate. Don't hog the spotlight. Be a team player, and just encourage everybody to get involved. It'll be a lot more fun, and it'll be a wonderful experience. The third part of the con experience for me was around the hotel. Of course, everything at the hotel is expensive. So be prepared for hotel prices. If you are going to be drinking water, you want to bring your own. If you want to drink sodas, you're definitely going to want to bring your own. I was going to buy a can of Dr. Pepper, and it was $4 for 12 ounces. And I'm like, forget that. So if you're lucky, there might be a grocery store nearby. You can run and pick up some food or some snacks there and just bring them with you. But just be prepared. It's going to be hotel prices, and it's going to be expensive. And again, as I mentioned this earlier, but get a room closer to the lobby or closer to the floor wherever the convention is going to be held. It will save you a lot of time, especially if you forget something in your room and you have to run back up there to get it last minute. It'll be a lot quicker than having to deal with the elevators. So anyway, in conclusion, I just wanted to encourage everybody. MythicCon was fabulous. I am looking forward to going again next year. I'm looking forward to GMing again next year. I just got to figure out what game I'm going to do and go from there. But do it. It's a lot of fun. If you've never been to a con, find one in your local area. Smaller ones, I think, may be a good place to start. MythicCon isn't huge. It's definitely not Gen Con. And so for me, it was a great way to get an experience of what gaming conventions are like, what the people are like, what I might expect. And by keeping it close to your house, it's going to help reduce the cost a little bit and make it a little bit more enjoyable for you because you have more time to just soak things in, and you don't have to worry about as much of the getting to and from and what's it going to do my pocketbook, that sort of stuff. So anyway, I hope this helped you. I hope this helped somebody with understanding what a con may look like, but go do it and have a great time.